Hi everyone, welcome back to Transactions Module 3 Grammar. Today we are going to study about modal auxiliaries. Read the following sentences. We would expect you to attend the meeting. They should show more sincerity in their work. You can meet me anytime tomorrow. You could use my car. You may go to bed now. We must start now. You ought to respect the national anthem. In these sentences, the words in the italics are called auxiliary verbs. They help to express various moods or state of minds of the speaker. For example, in the sentence, "You may go to bed now," the speaker gives the listener permission to go to bed. The helping verbs of this kind are called modal auxiliaries. These are some of the modal auxiliaries in English. Can, could, will, would, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, had better. Modals are followed by verb in their first form. For example, you should come, not past tense or past participle form. You must go, not went or gone. Another type of modal verbs whose meanings are similar to that of modal auxiliaries. They are phrasal modal verbs. Phrasal modal verbs. For example, need to, have to, able to, supposed to, have got to, used to, etc. Now let us see various usages of modal auxiliaries. Polite requests with I as subject. Polite requests. Study the examples carefully. These are used in our daily life. May I borrow your pen? Could I borrow your pen? Though could is the past tense of can. In case of modal auxiliaries, could is used as present tense. You can use it in daily life to request politely. So, learn the usage. May I borrow your pen? Could I borrow your pen? To ask something of somebody in a very polite manner, you can use could, may, etc. May I borrow? Could I borrow? Another way of asking, can I borrow your pen? Can I? It is also used to request politely. But can is less polite than may I or could I. Then how will you respond to this request? Certainly. Yes, certainly. Then polite requests with you as subject. Would you? Will you? Would you pass the salt, please? Will you? pass the salt please? Both can be used with equal politeness. Would you is more common. The tone of your voice used by the speaker is very important. So there should be the tone of politeness in your voice when you use expressions like this. Then could you please pass the salt please? You can use could you with equal politeness as would you. The difference is very slight. Then can you pass the salt please? Can is obviously less polite than could you and would you. Then another, would you mind? Would you mind is used in this way. Would you mind if I closed the window? Would you mind if I closed the window? Would you mind if I used the phone? One thing you must remember while writing would you mind is that in would you mind requests, past tense is used. See, would you mind if I closed the window? Would you mind if I closed the window? Then asking someone to do something. Would you mind closing the window? Would you mind repeating what you said? Here, ing form of the verb, that is gerund, is used. Would you mind repeating? See, let us go through it once again. Polite request with I as the subject. May I borrow your pen? Could I borrow your pen? Then, can I borrow your pen? Then polite request with you as a subject. Would you pass the salt, please? Will you pass the salt, please? Then, could you please pass the salt? Can you pass the salt, please? Would you mind if I closed the window? Would you mind if I used the phone? Would you mind closing the window? So these are various types of usages. You can give numbers like this. Polite request with the I as subject as 1. Polite request with the you as subject as 2. Then other modal verbs. There are several heads under this. Modal verbs which are used for expressing obligation, prohibition, lack of obligation, recommendation, friendly warning, etc. Let us examine each of them separately. Obligation. What do you mean by obligation? Obligation is a condition in which we are bound to do something. We have to do that. Have to, have got to, need to, must, ought to are used to express obligation. For example, you must work harder. You have to do that. You ought to respect your teachers. That is also an obligation. You must get to work by 9 o'clock. You are obliged to go to work by 9 o'clock. You need to wear the right clothes. You have to use the key codes to get into the building. You have got to leave the building if you hear the fire alarm. So hope you understood the meaning of this. Obligation. Must, ought to, must, need to, have got to, etc. are used. Then prohibition. Prohibition means saying not to do something. You are not expected to do. Must not or mustn't is used to say this in an emphatic way, in a strong way. See the you must not smoke in the school premises. Customers must not bring pets into the shop. You must not or mustn't play with fire. So these are how modal auxiliaries are used to prohibit something. Now coming to lack of obligation. Lack of obligation, it is to say that something is not compulsory. We are very familiar with expressions like this. Need not or needn't. Don't need to. Don't have to. See the examples to understand. Employees need not stay until 6 p.m. They need not arrive until 8 a.m. We don't have to work at the weekend. Now recommendation. Recommendation means to recommend something because it is not good. To recommend something because it is good, right, or better. Had better is often used, or should is often used for this purpose. We had better get to the cinema early. Then we should buy our tickets in advance, like that. We had better get to the cinema early. We should buy our tickets in advance. Then friendly warning. To say something is not recommended. Had better not. Should not. You had better not forget my birthday. We shouldn't eat so much salt, like that. So now you can attempt the exercises given in the textbook. Answer keys are given here. You do the exercise first and evaluate yourself with the answer key. So you can pause the video and note it down. Answer key for the second exercise and answer key for the third exercise. So watch the video over and over again in order to understand it. Pause wherever necessary. Thank you.